Alright, I'm Master Lukey. As you know, I'm Life Food Certified. Alright, building a brand about health and I'm using martial arts to go mainstream. Alright? Al, we gotta win this one for the kids. Instead of soda, right? Um, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because you have people who are getting into so-called nutrition. For example, you have Thomas DeLauer. He's promoting fasting, but he doesn't promote any cleansing. At least not like I do. If you're fasting, you got food that's rotting in the intestine. It has to come out. Alright? That's the basics of cleansing. So I had half prune juice. I put it on ice and put the rest water. And I'll probably have a couple of these throughout the day. Okay? And just so you know, this is not organic. But it also has no preservatives. So that's why I went with this one that was available at my local market. And then the same thing with this brand here, Crasdale. It's not organic, it's not raw, it's not live or whatever. And I'm just doing a quick video on this because I wanted to mention, like I said, Thomas DeLauer, because he's a YouTube celebrity, meaning he has pull. So that's my competition. So what I'm doing is, over the next 3 days, something called a dry fast, which Thomas DeLauer, you're weak because you need to do fasting with bone broth. That's how weak you are. You got to live off of a weaker animal. It's like a parasite. You might want to learn about cleansing because that's something that's controlling you. Yeah, you know, Al, I do everything with the concept of marketing. So I do have to do some breathing. On my training schedule, I have sprints on Wednesday. So last week I didn't actually do it, but it's on the list. And, you know, the first step in making these things happen is writing it down. For some people they could just do things. But if you ask trainers and stuff like that, and people who have success, a lot of them have journals, right, and stuff like that. So I have it on my training list, specific exercises, and I'm gonna be live streaming that stuff too for two reasons: to help you and to help me, right? I'm doing what's called a dry fast because I have two trainings scheduled, and one of them is at night. So if I try to rehydrate, like have a drink after my night training, which ends at 10 p.m., I'm not going to get a good night's sleep, and my kidneys are going to have too much. They're not going to be able to rest. Sorry about the shaky camera. I'll set it up better on the next video, maybe. How's that? So that's why I'm starting the dry fast this week so that I can train until 10 p.m. and then just go to sleep. And then my next training in the morning, I have to be up at, let's see, 10 plus 8 hours is 6. I got to be up, you know, basically 8 or 9 hours from then. You know, people say, oh, you have to eat to be strong. But here I am training in a 8 to basically a 12-hour window, maybe a little more, 14-hour window, 8 to 10 p.m. one night, and then it's basically 9 to 11 the next day. So that's just over 12, 13 hours. I'm training 2 2-hour sessions, whereas if I was eating to be strong, you got to work out at least 2 hours, like most people, an hour, 2 hours. Um, you have to work out after you eat. You have to give yourself a few hours to digest, right? So say that's got to be equated in there, and then you got to sleep. So there's not enough time. So I'm doing that for 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're just tuning in, I started to talk about my new training schedule. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because right now I see my kids on the weekend, but I'm going to have to, and I'm going to tour with the League of Champions, and then eventually I'll be able to bring them with me. But that's going to be, I'll have Friday to go somewhere, right, to do an event in a new state, a new city, a new gym, and then I can be back before my schedule starts up again Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's the plan for now. Um, and I started fasting in 2005, basically. For my last UFC fight, I didn't eat for a couple of days before I fought. The reason was because it took me some time to empty myself out. Like, if I eat something, if anybody eats something, it doesn't come right out. It has to go through the system. So I gave myself about 2 or 3 days. I think it was closer to 2 days um, fasting before I fought. So nothing was inside me. I had all my energy, for the task at hand. I didn't come out on top of that fight because um, the other guy, he came on strong in the beginning of the match, and then by the time I started to catch up to him in terms of my intensity, and the fight was basically over. Because the first round, he really just came after me, got me good. I didn't tap out, but the second round, he started to do the same thing again. But I by the third round, I was actually offensive. I got him in a triangle hold at the very end of the fight. Triangle hold is with the legs. Um, you know, Everything happens for a reason. But if I wasn't fasted, I literally had to fight with everything I had. Say digestion takes, some estimates are 25% of your energy. You're running at a 75% capacity in a fight for your life. I went all the way up to 99.9 on that fight. Rear naked choke, okay? I had to go make the decision that if it didn't, my defense didn't work, that was it. Some moves you can tap out, not the rear naked choke. You get put out by a rear naked choke, that's it, game over. Supposedly you can fight with a broken arm. My arm did get popped in that fight also. So you say breatharian, people go, what do you mean, you don't eat? Well, it's a metaphor. Nobody's a breatharian, right? Yeah, it's a crazy time in my life. But I do have a broken neck now that I got in, let's see, 2000, and it was probably 2001. 2001, even before I got my blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, before I had my first professional MMA fight, before I had even any grappling competitions, as a very beginner, as a kid who did shopping mall kung fu, learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, I went in there with my kung fu uniform and my brown belt, my brown sash that I got in kung fu. The guy said you can't wear that, so they gave me a white belt. It wasn't a gi; it was like a three-quarter sleeve, really thin cotton gi, but it did fold over. Anyway, I don't know if it was that. It wasn't my first time, but it was when I was a very beginner because it wasn't even a blue belt, and I was rolling with a purple belt, and he got me in what's called a side choke like this. So my own arm is choking me on one side, and when I say choke, I should say strangle. Okay, it's a strangle on the artery here, and and on the other side, the guy had his arm like this over here. So you got the two arteries. It's supposed to put the person to sleep. But because I'm tough, I didn't want to tap out. So the guy, what did he do? He squeezed harder. And pop, my neck popped. And he goes, oh fuck, he started crying. I couldn't move. I was laying there, oh my god, my neck. He starts crying. I'm so sorry, you gotta tap out. He blamed it on me because I didn't want to tap out. It's not his fault either. That's just the way the game used to be until I came up with my power hold system. Okay, so that's gonna change that. But I do have a vertebrae that's out like this. It's supposed to be straight. It's popped. This one up here. And you know, my nerves is cut off. So if you look at me straight on, my right side is more stronger. This side is weak because the nerve force can't build the muscle. You understand? It's not that I'm weaker physically. It's like, oh, I'm a righty. No, I'm not. I fight both sides. I'm equal. Even though I trained, when I first started training, I was orthodox, so my right side did get stronger. But on this side, there's the vertebrae that's out of place, and because the muscle underneath it has to compensate, this is very cramped. So I have neck pain all day. You know, no chiropractic has been able to pop it back because it was a physical um, injury that I think, if anything, maybe what they would call myofascial or cranial sacral. So they can allow the bones to relax. And if I have an injury here that the body's compensating for, if I have somebody who is holding my head in a proper way and maybe even stretching, there could be tendons of ligaments that is like just scarred, and I could get in there and I could do a technique called a gua sha, which is a scrubbing and a scraping. So if there's something that's become like a rock or a stone, I can soften that over time. And I have bone spurs in here. I have bone spurs from injury. People's using their forearm bones, really hard and breaking my neck bones, making small breaks in the neck bone. Oh, you know, I'm fighting with a broken neck. So obviously I have to prevent that from happening to somebody else. I'm lucky that I'm alive. So by fasting, um, what I'm doing is healing my lowest abdomen, which is the sigmoid colon. That's the end before it comes out, the anus. And then on the other side, you have the small intestine, which starts up in the stomach, right? The small intestine is like a maze, and it comes across like this. It's behind the colon. The colon's in front. Small intestine comes down from on top of it, comes in like this, and you have the end of the small intestine, and then the large intestine connects here and comes back around, and then, like I said, you have the sigmoid colon. So the two corners where the food is sitting there, you haven't pooped it out, but then also the end of the small intestine where it connects to the large intestine, and that's called a sphincter, which is a muscle that our whole life using, never resting, because by the time you poop, by the time the food gets into the colon, you've already eaten again. So if you have any muscle that doesn't rest, it's going to deteriorate. Okay, and then not to mention the small intestine from the acid food is burned, and that's where all the neurotransmitters are made. Here, you have a gut feeling about something. This is the first brain. So that's why I had depression growing up, compounded by the traumatic brain injury. And I used medical marijuana, but use the medical marijuana in an edible form. So I haven't decided if I'm gonna actually do that. I might do that and my dragon tea, which is like an herbal energy formula. This goes around the little spray bottle that I got. So I'm trying to combine with these live videos, have products that I can sell. So this is one of them coming out, and the other one I'm gonna do is a cracker. So you're gonna see me make the cracker on camera, and then you can buy it, and then hopefully that money can pay for the live internet feed, right? As a self-sustaining business, life food, as I have learned from my teacher, is for a sustainable future. It's the most powerful thing